Yeah.
So
I met Al Snow actually in LA with Steve
yeah,
Ravi, because he was meant to come to do that film we did in Melbourne.
yeah,
But yeah, he's a nice guy, and
yeah,
you're right. Like there's a lot of. I mean, look, there's people like that in all walks of life, but it is a little difficult in the wrestling when things like that happen, because yeah, it just makes it hard when you got to work with someone. But what a great approach that you had to take that to that level of just being civil. I cannot say that I was that same person. I am now, because my life's turned around. But at times I probably did things I wasn't really proud of. I was more of a hit and ask questions later sometimes. In situations where something had been done that I didn't like. And I don't say that's right, but at the end of the day, that person deserved it anyway. So, not saying it's right, but that's what I did. But no, I admire anyone who can sort a situation out where you can talk about it. And nowadays, or for the last 10 years or so, 15 years since I've been mentoring and coaching and gone through transformation myself, that reactive volcano stuff is under control, which is great, because you do walk away with your head high when you don't have to be arguing and face to face with people. So wrestling does teach you that, to be humble and respect others no matter what, because you have to work together. That's the whole point of it.
It can make you, and it can break you though. It can make you into a great person, but it can also break you and destroy your soul, basically, if you don't have enough inner strength. But I guess, like, when it comes down to it, for me, wrestling saved my life, because when I was a kid, I went through a lot of home violence. There was a lot of violence in the home, not with my mother, but with the person that she was with, and I seen a lot of stuff that I probably shouldn't have when I was a kid, there was a lot of times where I was like, I would go into like my own little world, because I was like, man, I just want to be this. I just want to be this all the time. I wanted to be the ultimate warrior. He was my savior, basically. I saw him and that was it. I'm like, I'm going to be a wrestler one day. I'm going to be a wrestler. So I had that mentality in my head, and wrestling saved me, because every time that I was going through all that horrible stuff, it was like, it kind of like, it was definitely an escape. And that's made me a better person today. Like, I have had my anger issues over the years, but I've never went out of my way to purposely hurt somebody.
And look, everybody deals with things like that, and the great part is when you can get through that journey, like Doug's been through that journey, and in a different way, and it really opens up other things, which before I go on to the next subject, Doug, jump in, and I'm sure you've got some questions for Nikki before I ask her about what she's doing nowadays, which is really awesome.
Yeah, so Nikki, what's the funniest insult you've heard of all time in the wrestling world?
Oh, man. I got so many of them. But you know what? My most memorable moment, I'll never forget this. I was in Canberra, and I had to wrestle down in Canberra. And there was this granny, and she was sitting at the front, right in the front seat in front of the ring. And she says to me, "You're nothing but a $2 Barbie doll hooker." I looked at her and I go, "Yeah, but you want to know something, Grandma? Your husband would have me any day of the week." She gets a walking stick. She goes to whack me with it. I've got a photo of that. Oh my God, it was the funniest thing. And then when the show finished, because you got to keep kayfabe, I walked out, and it was her daughter, her daughter's husband, her and her partner, and the little kid, and the daughter wanted to go me.
Oh, wow.
It was gold. Like, oh man, that was probably like one of my most memorable moments. And there was another one when I wrestled at Blacktown Shopping Centre. I was only a kid. My dad was in the audience this one. And there was I used to be in a stable called XDC, Extreme Damage Control, with Cobra Ty, God bless him because he passed away. But and Corruption. And you know, we're big heels, you know, like everyone hated us and everything, and we walk out and I give the audience a lip like I usually do, and then I turn my back like against the audience. The worst mistake I could have did. There was this 16-year-old kid and he's just gone boom, and he just grabbed my chest, and my dad was standing on the side. I turned around and like, what the hell? I pushed this guy, and then my dad, all I seen was him run, and then this kid just gone, shoo, and just took off.
That's hilarious. I know. Look, we those sort of things, like people like, that's what I mean. The audience really do. People get involved, no matter what people think about wrestling. Once you're in those seats, people are free to yell and you know, comment, do whatever they want, because it's expression. It gets rid of the angst during the day. They love getting in there and having a go, and they love the wrestlers having a go. They know a lot of the time they don't mean it, but they still do hang on to it. You know, like I had a guy one night, he came up to the side of the ring and he was threatening, like he wanted to really have a go at me, you know, and after the show finished, he came up, he said, hey man, he said, it was a really great show. And I go, thanks, bro, you know, like it was good, you know, and some people let it go, but then some don't. You know, my friend Danny, I don't know if ever you met Danny. He was the Master Avenger. He was a big guy. Like, he was a massive, massive man, and he took no nonsense at all. He was a hardcore guy. And I remember watching him wrestle at a really rough pub in Adelaide, up in the northern suburbs. And in the pub, we were wrestling. The ring was set up. There was a big crowd, and Danny was doing his thing. He was in the mask and all that. Oh, no, he wasn't in the mask that night. And the number one bluer in the pub, you know, number one fighter in the pub, he was there. He was right up against the ring, and he kept looking at Danny and said, he said, he said, you're a bit of a fairy, mate, you know, and Danny didn't take any notice, and he kept wrestling. And then the guy said, hey, mate, didn't you hear me? He said, you're a fairy. And Danny just kicked him. I didn't kick him, but kicked the ropes. Yeah. And, you know, the guy kept going. Danny ignored him. And Danny's a very quiet guy, very powerful, very dangerous. You know, he could fight, but he went and sit by himself at the end of the night. And the funny thing about Danny was he was a massive, massive guy, but he used to carry one of those little airline bags, you know, the tiny airline bags you would get, right? And it looked hilarious. So he'd walk out with his costume and it would fit in there, right? And not his boots, but his tights and his mask. And anyway, he's sitting at this table by himself, and he got up to leave. And he said, all right, mate, I'm going. I said, good, Danny, good to see you, mate. Next thing, this bloke comes up, this, you know, I don't know what it's like here in America, but, you know, the number one bluer of the pub, everybody knew who he was. He had a reputation. And he come up to Danny, and he was about 3 inches shorter than Danny and probably a lot thinner. But he's a hard-looking guy, and his shirt fronted Danny and said, I told you before, mate, you're a fairy. He said, all this wrestling's a load of crap. And Danny said, listen, mate, just get out of my way. I'm going home. He said, yeah, really? He said, I think you're just a punce. And Danny goes like this. He gives me the little airline bag. He says, Andy, can you just hang on to this for a minute? I'll be back in a minute. He says, mate, let's go outside. Not in here. Let's go out round the back. And Danny said, I'll be back in a minute, Andy. And I went, I'm sure you will. Right. So Danny headed off round somewhere outside the pub. I'm telling you, within 3 minutes, he was back. He said, thanks, Andy, for looking after my bag. I went, and where is he? He goes, don't know. He's outside. I think he needs an ambulance. Right? I said, what did you do, mate? He said, head-butted him and then give him a couple of stomps just to let him know that wrestling isn't fake. And he said, I'll see you tomorrow, Andy. I said, catch ya. Right. So he took that guy's reputation away really quick. And look, I'm sure you met him too, mate. There was a lot of hardcore blokes in wrestling. I mean, seriously hardcore guys that, you know, they could really fight. And there was a lot of them in the old time too, you know, some hard men.
Yeah, that's why when I first met Milano, because I like my second ever match in ACW was an intergender tag match, and I was so fortunate. And it was me, Mario Milano, and it was Andy Harpist and Poison Ivy. I don't know if you remember Poison Ivy.
I think I do. Was that
Yeah.
was she? Did she have long black hair?
Yeah, like very dark hair. Yep. Because when I first broke in, I wrestled her.
Yeah, I remember. She was actually. I mean, is she still with us, or is she?
Yes. Now she's still she's not wrestling anymore, but she is still here.
Yeah, she was a pretty tough lady.
Oh yeah, she was very
mate.
tough.
She used to hang around in some circles outside of wrestling that most guys would shy away from.
Yep. But she was great though, I have to admit. Like, I learned a lot from Jess. But I learned a lot from Cobra Kai, Justin Costello. He taught me a lot of stuff about like acting, like improv stuff, and he was the one that actually brought the Nikki Nitro character up to speed a lot, because I was the good guy. Like, I was a face for 2 years called Wildfire, and then he took me under his wing, and then that's when Nikki Nitro formed, and she was like under Cobra Kai's spell, and they had a tag going for probably 14 years, I think. About 14 years, me and Cobra Kai. Yeah, he was my boyfriend, and it was really good. Like, it worked so well, the storyline. But and then when he passed away, I still carried on. So that's why when I walk out into the ring and I jump on the rope and I go, "You will respect me," because that's living Justin's legacy.
Oh wow, that's a great story. That's really cool. Yeah, great story. Doug, I'm sure you've got some more questions before I do ask Nikki about her what she's doing for people.
Nikki, I must ask, how many matches have you won?
Oh gosh. To be honest, I have absolutely no idea. Like, a lot of the earlier career, what I've had is been a lot of hardcore matches. So I've been hit over the head quite a bit. So I reckon I've won a fair few times. Like, I reckon well over 200. I reckon. But yeah, like I was saying, like a lot of my older matches and that I can't really remember much from that because of all the hardcore. So, like getting hit over the head with trays, bins, and all that kind of stuff. Fun.
Have you ever done any matches at the House of Hardcore or Tommy Dreamer's place?
No. However, when I was in the States last, I actually met Tommy. And I was at a few shows that he was at, and he said to me that if he was still in if he was still in charge of like the women's division on the WWE, he would have put me in straight away. Like, he's actually a really, really good person, Tommy Dreamer. But the House of Hardcore, they were actually here a couple of years ago, and that's where I got to see Al again, and I got to see like the Spirit Squad, like, because Andy, like one of the guys, like Randy, his name is, and Stevie Stamos, we had a stable called Platinum Entourage, and we were doing a lot of stuff together. So that's where I ended up going and meeting Tommy Dreamer, and then when they came back out, House of Hardcore again, I got to talk to Tommy again. But he always classifies me as young Trish Stratus, which is pretty cool, I think.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
Huh?
Is he an icon of yours?
Tommy Dreamer?
Yeah, like a hero.
Oh yeah, he's pretty good. I have to say, Tommy Dreamer is badass. Like, he's the kind of person that when he gives you that look, you kind of go, okay, I'm just going to backtrack away from you now.
That's funny. What an awesome experience you've had meeting all these wonderful people like that. That doesn't happen to a lot of wrestlers, we were very blessed in the day that we got to meet a lot of the guys from the States when they come out in the Malenko era and Big Boss Man era. Jimmy Superfly Snooker, got to meet him and work with him in Adelaide. What a great guy. Like, he was awesome, man. What an athlete. What an athlete that guy was, you know.
Yeah.
But Nikki, so just behind me is the poster of the Manson Brothers. This is the zombie movie that just came out in the States. It's an indie film. That's Randy Couture in the main photo. You can't quite see. Hang on, if I get out the way.
Oh, yeah, I can see Randy Couture. Yeah.
It's a funny. Hopefully, you guys will be able to stream it, but it's such a laugh, right? But the other good thing is, it's so much like the indie wrestling scene, like everything you've just described, like in the dressing room and all that. It's just so cool a movie, right? And wrestlers, like us and people who are in it or out of it or love wrestling, they will love this movie. It's just such a fun thing. I think it's going to Cannes Film Festival. Hopefully it does.
Oh, nice. That's what we were supposed to.
Yeah, we were. I don't know what's happening to our hotel underground, but I hope it gets
Not sure. I know. One, I have to say, there's one TV show that I'm actually really liking at the moment, which is on Stan, and that's called Heels. Have you seen that?
Which one is it?
Heels. Heelz.
Yeah, I've seen the big billboards around here in LA for it. No, I haven't actually seen it. It's
really good. It's it's really good, and it shows there's a little bit of it that's a bit over exaggerated, but I'm like, man, if there's one show that I'd love to be on, it will be that, because it is so cool. But I'm hoping they're going to make another Young Rock again, because I've applied for Young Rock, so hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll see what happens.
Yeah. The Young Rock was filmed in Brisbane, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I auditioned for a role in that, but regardless whether I was going to get it or not get it, they weren't going to fly me back from Australia for a role like that during COVID. So, but I mean, it was just cool and honored to be able to audition for that. But as I've said to others, I was lucky to work on The Condemned, where I met Stone Cold Steve.
Yeah, that's a mad movie.
And Stone Cold's a great guy. And I got to chat with Mickey Rourke for an hour and a half in his trailer when we were shooting a film in New Mexico. And what a cool guy. We just talked about wrestling the whole time. Nikki, I'm going to ask you something. What do you do now? You actually work in a really great area for other human beings. What is that you do?
Disability support worker.
Good on you.
Yeah, so I was looking after a young fella that had cerebral palsy. I was looking after him for 14 months. And my goal with him was, he was very scared to go swimming and stuff like that. And I said, listen, this is my goal. I think we can do this. We can achieve this. And, I ended up taking him swimming, and he can swim 14 laps of a pool now with a vest on.
Wow. So, actually, I'll tell you what, Nikki, that's great, because Doug and myself, we also have another series, which is a little more serious. It's called Relentless and Unstoppable, and we have a whole bunch of topics. We talk to people on mental health. We talk to people all around the world who are doing great things. We don't want to do it here. We'd love to get you on that series and really have a chat about, the people that you're helping. And also, we'd like to invite you to our Spark channel, which Doug will share with you, where you can actually get on and share photos or videos of your client if he's happy doing what he's doing, swimming the laps, and maybe a little interview. And we've got a special social media platform purely for people with disabilities who have had accidents or were born, with any type of, disability. We prefer to call it special abilities, but it's a great place where they can share their creative arts, their talents, their breakthroughs, their sport. So we'll leave that for another session, but I'd love to get you on those platforms and talk more about that.
No worries.
Yeah, that'd be great. Well, Nikki, Doug, you have any more questions? Because we have run out of time. But, wow, what a great story, Nikki. You're so blessed to have had all that experience and also doing what you're doing for others,
That's what I wanted to do. I think my mum told me to be kind. So, yeah, kindness is the key to everything.
You are kind. I've met you, spent a bit of time with you early on, but when we're on that movie, spent a lot of time together. I
Yeah.
think we did drink a few beers at one
Yes.
stage. That was funny. That was funny.
In a
But
tiny
yeah,
little room.
yeah, I know, right? Big enough for two of us.
That
But
was the
yeah, you
same.
are a kind person, Nikki. You are
Thank
very
you.
kind.
I try
You
my
are.
hardest. I try.
Yeah,
You got to, especially now. I got to live for my mum.
yeah, and you know, God bless your mum. I know you said she's. I didn't realise. I think you told me, but I apologise for not remembering that. But you did tell me that your mum passed away, so that's a tough thing to
Yeah.
deal with. You know, tough
Yeah,
thing to deal.
she's been in heaven now for 8 months.
Yeah, wow. Well, you know, you're a strong person, Nick, and you know, you're living your life, but you're living through what your mum taught you. So good on you. God bless
Thank
you.
you. Yeah, you got to. I guess like there's too many horrible people in the world, so you got to be kind. You know, you
Yeah,
don't want to be following all that.
there's more better people than horrible people. We just don't
Yeah,
hear about the good people. So that's part of
yeah,
why we run these platforms to share more about the people who are doing great things for others. You know.
yep. True, true.
Well
Hopefully,
done,
you can get
Kenny.
back.
Oh yeah, I'm trying, mate. I've cancelled my flight 3 times. I'm going to wait till after Christmas. You know.
Be
Before I get
safe.
back. So yeah, just to be safe. Well, Doug, Kenny, a few more, whatever questions you got, mate, and then we'll let Nikki go. And I think it's past our Betty bye time.
Yeah.
I
Past your
mean,
big part time ages ago. See it,
yeah, I
Andy.
know, right? I know it's probably about two. I think it's about 2:30 in the morning now. I know
Well, it's
2:40.
only 7:22 p.m. here
Can
on
you sing me a
Wednesday.
lullaby, Andy?
Yeah, no thanks, mate. Thank God you're in Arizona. Seriously.
I don't really have any other questions, so I
You
think I'm
don't?
good.
Okay. Well, look, Nikki, thank you seriously for making time to do this and sharing your really cool journey of pro wrestling. And look, once wrestling starts up again, we'll definitely get hold of you again and maybe get some live footage of you at a wrestling match before you start and maybe chatting to a few wrestlers in the dressing room and all that sort of thing, you know?
Well, hopefully, because OVW have given me opportunities now, so Ohio Valley Wrestling. So as soon as the borders open up, hopefully, fingers crossed, I'll be over there for OVW.
Oh, great, mate. Awesome,
Yeah.
awesome. That'll be great. All right. Well, thanks, Nikki, for making the time. Thanks, Doug, for suggesting this idea. It's bloody awesome. So,
Thank you for having me, both of
yeah,
you.
thanks for coming on, Nikki. Doug,
Thank
over
you.
to you, matey.
All righty, everyone. I want to thank Nikki and Andy for appearing on the show, and we'll see you next week for the next episode of Tales from the Mat.